everyone, I'm Amber.
And I'm Leela.
And today we're going to show you guys how to remove coated wire tags from fish snouts. So to remove coated wire tags, you guys are going to need a few supplies. You're going to need your frozen fish heads. Today we have Chinook salmon. These have been frozen and we've taken them out of the freezer for about half an hour to thaw, so they're easier to cut through, but they're not so thawed that, they smell really bad. You'll want a cutting board, some white computer paper. We just use scrap paper. So recycling paper is really good for this, but you want to make sure that at least one side is blank. And this is to see coated wire tags. You'll want some gloves, a knife sharpener. You'll want a large knife to cut through the heads. A lot of times cutting through fish heads, the knives can get pretty dull. You'll want a magnetic metal pen, so this will help us draw the coated wire tags out of the snouts. You'll also want a makeshift holder. I think we just manufactured this or made this in our lab. You'll want some pencils to write down the coated wire tags, some clear Scotch tape to tape the tags to the paper. You'll want a data sheet that describes the location and also an area to write the code down. A coated wire tag reader that will go off once a coated wire tag is detected. So we just use this light here. And then you'll also need a dissecting microscope to read the coated wire tag, and also an overhead light. You're going to want some sort of light source that will come down from the top so that it reflects off the coated wire tag so that you can read the numbers better.
Start by writing down the fish sample number on your data sheet. First, you're going to take the snout out of the bag and scan it with the coated wire tag reader to be sure that there is, in fact, a coated wire tag in the snout. Next, take your snout and place it so it's facing upward on your cutting board so the flat side is down, so you have a flat surface to cut on so it's more stable. And then carefully take your knife and slice it down right in the middle. So now we have two halves of the snout, and your coated wire tag should be found in this fleshy area. We're going to scan both halves with our coated wire tag reader to determine which half has the coated wire tag in it, and place the other half in the bag. Carefully cut out that cartilage. It is nasal cartilage, and the coated wire tag should be in that area if you have an ideal snout. Later we'll go over how to extract a coated wire tag if it is not in this area, but this is where you want to start. It should come right out just like that, but be careful as it may still be frozen. Now, to be sure that we got it out of that cartilage, we're going to scan both parts and make sure that it's no longer in the snout that's left over. So just to double check, we'll scan that part as well. And as the indicator light shows, our coated wire tag will be in this section. We'll cut it in half and scan both halves of the cartilage. It is not in that one. Oh, that one it is. And we'll place it on our scratch piece of paper. Now we're going to take the flat part of the knife and smash it into the white paper and spread it out a little bit. It can be a little sticky, sometimes wet, but ideally we should be able to find it by smashing the cartilage and spreading it out. There it is. Now take your magnetic pen and pull it out, and then you're going to want to rub off all the excess flesh or moisture. Make sure it's good and dry so we can read it under a microscope. Place the magnetic pen with the coated wire tag on the end of it into the stand under the microscope. You want the tag to be facing out just so it's right at the tip.
Here's a picture of our coated wire tag underneath our dissecting microscope. I'm going to try to hold this video steady because I'm viewing it underneath the lens here. But as you can see, there is a triangle in the middle of our coated wire tag there, like it acts as a small decimal point or a beginning point basically. And we're going to want to read starting to the right of that little decimal point, and you're looking for 6 numbers here. Oftentimes the tag gets kind of cut in half, and that last number can be really difficult to read. So that number is often repeated on the opposite side. So here you can see our tag number starting at the decimal point and reading off to the right. We have 0, 5, 5, and then it looks like a 7. That 7 sort of got cut off in the machine, so it'll actually repeat on the left-hand side, so you don't want to write the 7 down twice. So this number would be, again, starting at the decimal point, 0, 5, 5, 7, 6, 0. And you can also see when I rotate this tag, this number is repeated several different times. So if you can't read one side, just continue to rotate the tag until you get numbers that you can read a little bit better. Some of them will have debris on it. Sometimes the machine scratches it pretty good, and certain sides can be more difficult to read than others. Here we can read this side fairly clearly. It also helps to probably adjust your lighting as well. So here you can see the decimal points located in a little bit of a different spot. To the right of that we have a 0, and then beginning on the other side it looks like a 0 again, and then 5, let's see, 0, 5, yep, 5, 7, 6, 0 right there. So that 0 does repeat on the left hand side as well. And as we rotate it, you can see that some sides are a little bit easier to read than others, but these numbers are very tiny, so you may need to get second opinions just to make sure you're reading them correctly. So there's one of the clearest sides right there. Okay, once we've read our coated wire tag, which I have written down here, 055760, this is our location that we received. It's a little number that we get inside each plastic bag. So I've then used just a small piece of Scotch tape right here, and then I have taped that tag to my data sheet and just put a circle around it, so when I hand this into the researchers, they can easily locate that tag.
Next, we'll show you a snout that isn't perfect. You'll want to start out the same way you did before, with the snout facing up and the flat part on the cutting board, and slice right down the center of the snout, so you'll end up with 2 halves. Again, the coated wire tag should be found in this nasal cartilage right in here, that pale pink area. You'll scan both halves with the coated wire tag reader like before to determine which half the coated wire tag is in, and place the other half in the plastic bag for disposal. Again, you'll cut out the nasal cartilage, hoping that the coated wire tag is in there. Unfortunately, we did not cut out the coated wire tag with our nasal cartilage, so that will go into the plastic bag for disposal. On this particular snout, I'm not sure if I cut out all of the nasal cartilage, so we'll try to cut out a little bit more and see if we're lucky enough to pull out the coated wire tag with it. Doesn't look like we got it. Oh, it's still in the snout, so we'll try again. Now we're just going to take slices off of the snout, cutting it approximately in half each time. And after every cut, we're going to scan each half of the snout to be sure that we don't dispose of the coated wire tag. Be sure after you scan each portion of the snout that the portion that does not have the tag in it goes in your plastic bag to keep your workplace neat. Remember, it's always easier to cut on a flat surface, so when you can, have the flat surface face your cutting board. As the snout becomes smaller and smaller, it can become very slippery, so be sure to hold it tight and be very careful when you're cutting. We'll just keep cutting it smaller and smaller until we have a section that is small enough to put on our white paper and smash it with our knife. Yay, it looks like we have a small enough piece to smash with our knife. It's nice and fleshy, so we can place it on our white paper and smash it and smear it around. And if you look really closely, you should be able to see it. There it is. We're going to pull the flesh away a little bit so it's a little easier to grab with a magnetic pen. Sometimes you have to move it around a little bit so that the flesh releases it. Once you get the tag free and it's on your magnetic pen, don't forget to wipe off the excess liquid and flesh so you can read it under the microscope, and then continue just how we did before. Here we're going to show you how to remove the coated wire tag from another snout. We start out just how we have before, cutting it in half and putting the half without the coated wire tag in the plastic bag for disposal. The coated wire tag again should be in this nasal cartilage, so we're going to remove that. Again, it should be fairly simple to cut that out. Just like before, after every cut, we're going to scan each part that we cut to be sure that we're not disposing the coated wire tag. We have determined that the coated wire tag is not in the nasal cartilage, so we will continue by slicing the snout in halves until we reach a small enough piece of flesh that we can smash it on our white piece of paper again. As you can see, the coated wire tag is in the skin of the fish here, which is very hard to smash on the paper. So our normal method of smashing the flesh on the white sheet of paper is a little bit more difficult with this one, so we're going to cut it down so it's even smaller. It also makes it harder to see the coated wire tag because the gray color of the skin is about the same color as the coated wire tag. So if we can get it as small as we can before bringing it over to the white piece of paper, it is better. Yeah, that's about small enough to put on the white piece of paper, and we'll try to smash it a little bit just to pull out any of the flesh that is attached to it, and hopefully the coated wire tag will be somewhere within that. There it is. After reading the tag and writing it down on your data sheet, it is easiest to transfer the tag straight from the magnetic pen like this using Scotch tape. And then draw a circle around the tag so the researchers can find the tag on the paper. Another scenario would be after you remove the nasal cartilage, your coated wire tag will actually be sitting right on top. So at this point, all you'll have to do is take your magnetic pen and just pull it out and then clean off the excess liquid and flesh and then continue on reading the code under the microscope and writing the data down on your data sheet as well as taping the tag to the data sheet. Here's another clip showing the technique of how to smash the flesh in order to find the coated wire tag on the white piece of paper. Again, just use the flat side of the knife and push down and spread it out. Here we have another clip of how to do the extraction of the coated wire tag from the fish snouts from start to finish. Have the fish nose up on your cutting board and cut it right down the middle, resulting in two symmetrical halves. Again, you should find the coated wire tag within the nasal cartilage in the light pink fleshy area right in here on either side of each half. It'll be on one side or the other. To determine which side it's in, we're going to scan it with the coated wire tag reader, and as our indicator light shows, it's in that one. The other one goes in the plastic bag for disposal, and we'll continue working on the half that has the coated wire tag in it. Now we will cut out the nasal cartilage in hopes that it was tagged correctly and the coated wire tag is found within it. Be careful doing this as you're working with a sharp knife. Now we'll scan with our coated wire tag reader the nasal cartilage that we just pulled out of the rest of the snout. Looks like we got it in our nasal cartilage, so we'll dispose of the rest of the snout. Now we'll cut it in half, just so it's a smaller piece so we have less to work with. It's not in that half. Yep, it's in that one. So that goes on the white piece of paper and the other part goes in the plastic bag for disposal. Now again, we'll take the flat side of the knife, we'll push down on it pretty firmly and spread it out. And there it is on the white piece of paper. It's that little gray speck. Now we'll take our magnetic pen and pull it out, leaving us with a little bit of flesh on the coated wire tag So we'll have to remove that by rubbing it against the white piece of paper with our fingers to remove the excess liquid as well as the excess flesh so we can read the tag under the microscope. We want to have the tag on the tip of the magnetic pen just like that so that it can be rotated all the way around so we can get a good look at it under the microscope. Here, Amber is looking through the microscope, focusing it in on the 6-digit code on the tag that is mounted on our makeshift holder.
So that's how we read coded wire tags, and I appreciate you guys listening to this video. Thanks. Let me know if you have any questions and put it below, please. Thanks.